I should probably start off by letting you guys know where I'm coming from on this one. The original Cloverfield film is one of my favorite monster movies of all time. I love that film. And 10 Cloverfield Lane, that was an incredible psychological thriller. Just like, you're constantly there's like, what would I do in this situation? And, oh, what's he gonna do next? Like, that was one of the most tense movie-going experiences I've had. I love that film. And when we saw Cloverfield Paradox, the trailer for that pop up during the Super Bowl, no one knew this was happening. No one knew this was a thing. I was like, it's available now. It was like, this is incredible that you can just drop the next installment of this anthology series right here, right now, no warning at all. That is incredible. It's a great way to like keep this franchise fresh, to keep it on everyone's minds. It's like, oh, I don't know when the next one might be coming out. It could be out right now for all we know. And also it shows like the brilliant thing that you can now do with like Netflix and Hulu and all these streaming services, able to create more of their own independent things. You can actually drop something like that right there. Fuck this movie, man. This thing sucks. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Cloverfield Paradox. This is the first one of these we've done in a month because January on this channel is always the Quest for the Best, where we look back at all the films everyone called the best films of the year, and the Gauntlet of Garbage, where we look back at all the films everyone called the worst films of the year. It's been a long time since we've done just a regular post-Geekout reaction, which is the show where it's not a review, it's just an open discussion between the two of us about the thing that we just watched. Oh, you know when you've been away from your house for a while and you come back and you turn the tap on and just a bunch of brown shit comes out? That's kind of what this post-Geekout reaction is right now. We ain't coming back to the best stuff. I should have saved the post-Geekout reactions for next week when Black Panther comes out. Because this whole weekend, this ain't even the only post-Geekout reaction we're doing this weekend.
No.
I'm doing this, doing 50 Shades Freed, and that new Peter Rabbit movie, which I hear is passable, but like, you saw the trailer, like even if it's passable,
That's not the Peter Rabbit I grew up
with.
with.
It looks insulting,
no,
yeah.
It's just a big old middle finger to Beatrix Potter, really.
Yeah. Alright. So this is a rough weekend. We've also got some post-Geekout reactions coming out for a couple of TV shows that we missed in the month of January, like Runaways. We're finally doing that. I'm never doing Punisher. Stop asking for it. And Devilman Crybaby. So we're doing those. But holy shoot. This is a rough one to come back to.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like it belongs into the Cloverfield anthology.
Here's the thing. This, as a sci-fi film on its own, it's bad. It's not good. It's dumb. They don't think this stuff out at all. Like, it's the story of in the future, mankind is running out of all of its resources, so they have to test something to basically give them unlimited energy. So they test it on this satellite called the Shepherd. And although they do mention it's called the Paradox at one, they do mention it's called the Cloverfield at one point. So
like the Cloverfield Shepherd?
Yeah, I don't know, because they refer to it by both names at some point. So maybe the Shepherd is the program itself, or Cloverfield is the program to send someone up there, but the Shepherd is the ship.
Maybe
it's, I don't know. But yes, so they have to go up there and test it on there. They activate this thing, and it's this big like international cast of like all the countries of the world send a representative up there to try and create this energy for the world. But like that raises the questions of like, well, the entire world is basically almost on the verge of war simply because, you know, resources are running out, so you've got like tension there. It's like, okay, that's some interesting stuff you can do with that. They activate the thing and it ends up sucking them into another dimension where they were doing the same thing, and they basically take the place of that country, of that world shepherd, and they say, oh, there's all these problems now arising because two things try to occupy the same space at the same time. Like they find like someone who is a crew member on the other ship who none of them have ever seen, but she's seen them. She's in there, she's in the ship now, but like she merges with the wall, and she's like in there in like the vents, and like just bars and like wires are sticking out of her, which that's the only actual scare that this thing gave me. The dog is biting my wife's finger, if you're wondering.
Yeah, it's like we're playing tug of war.
Yeah,
and sometimes she misses the toy and goes for my finger.
Yeah, she's being a squirm baby.
Yeah, it's very squirmy, but hopefully she won't be too disruptive.
Won't explode worms out of herself.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh wait, with the dog that means two different things.
Yes.
Sorry. So, but that's like the only scare that I actually got in this film, simply because like they hear this banging behind the wall and like, well, we gotta get this grate down. We gotta see what's behind there. And I was like, I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna pull it down. There's gonna be nothing there. Then like something will pop out.
You know, like someone will like grab them and like pull them in. Or,
so I was like, all right, there's not gonna be anything there. And no, there was something there. There was a lady with like wires. Like, oh, and I was like, fucking Jesus. So okay, I'll give you one.
Yes.
You got that one. That and the fact that the villain actually has a pretty decent motivation. I'll give her that. And also, this has actually one of the coolest death scenes I've ever seen in a film. One of the most creative death scenes I've ever witnessed. I'll give him that one as well. That's the only 3 compliments I can give this entire fucking film. Because, okay, they merged with that reality. She happened to be standing where this spot is, so she's merged into the wall. Okay, makes total sense. Every single other thing in this film that they do with the, you've taken the place of this and 2 things can't occupy the same space, makes no fucking sense. There is one clever thing where it turns out they're technically kind of on their ship now, except that doesn't pan out because like on the news you see that their ship crashed.
So but that was the other world that...
No, what I'm saying is they say that they're on their ship because there are files in there, because on their reality, one of the crew members betrayed them. And they go check the files, and they check the files, and they see, oh, this guy's been sending secret messages, and it's like, no, he hasn't actually been doing that. It was the guy in the other reality, the version of him in the other reality. So it's like, oh, so somehow they're on their ship. But wait, then how did that crew member get merged with the wall if they're on their ship right now? And then you turn on the news, and it shows that their ship crashed. So their ship crashed, but the files from the old ship just remained in space and got merged with ours? Like, that makes no sense. But then after, I mean, it's a cool idea, but I mean, the moment you think about it for 2 seconds, it makes no sense. But then, like, there's a moment in which, like, they had all these worms up there for an experiment of some sort.
Yeah, they never explain that. There's just a tank full of worms.
And then there's a moment in which they look and go, where'd all the worms go? And then this guy, like the Russian guy, who starts, he's looking in the mirror and his eye is now out of place and it's like moving around. He's like, oh God, oh God. Yes, I understand. And then he uses a 3D printer to make a gun, which, this is the question I had. Why, if you were going up to space for like a peacekeeping mission, would you bring the 3D printer layout for a gun? It made no sense to me. But
like, even the crew members were like, where'd you get that gun? Why do you have a gun? It's like, okay.
Even the crew members were like, how the fuck did this get up here? So he 3D prints a gun because like something in his head is telling him to do it. And then he's pointing the gun, and then he immediately dies, and like, so there's no payoff from that, and then he starts like convulsing, and then all the worms just spill out of him, and it's like, okay, well that's where the worms went, and I was like, but they were the worms on your ship. If they were the worms on their ship, okay, fine, like maybe like when you're done with the teleportation, he looks around and he sees like worms at his feet or something, or like, you know, he's itching on his back, and then he pulls like a worm out of his back or something, it's like, okay, but it's like, how the fuck did the worms from your own tank get into him? But that's not even the top 3 dumbest things in this. To me, was personally the dumbest one. And there's zero explanation for this at all. The mechanic guy, the Irish mechanic guy, he is like patching up the walls, like what got damaged.
Sorry about that, our dog's messing around with a tripod.
Stop that, buddy, come on now. Blurg. Alright. There's a moment in which he is like patching up like the little grate that they had to take out to get the woman in the wall out. Which, by the way, that sounds like a great title for an autobiography, The Woman in the Wall.
Should be better than Lady in the Water.
That was a weird breach. Okay, cool. But he's patching up, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, his hand gets sucked into the wall, and he's moving his hand around, and the hole is moving with his hand, and like it's not even inside the grate, like he's moving it all around the wall, and they try and pull him out, and they finally pull him out. It's like, oh, thank goodness. And they look, and his arm is gone, and he's in no pain. There's no bleeding. It's like, where's my arm gone? And then, and like he seems to be taking it pretty damn well. I'll give him that. And they go to the doctor, and yeah, it's just like a purely clean, cauterized little wound there. It's like, yeah, it's like it's always been like this. And then they just find like his arm, like just like, and that's the moment they find that arm, and it's moving around on its own, And he's like, I have no control over that. I can't do anything with the arm. It's just doing that by itself. He goes, it's the paradox that we were worried about. Two spaces can't acquire the same space at the same time. It's like, literally, the woman in the wall is the only one of those that this explains. How the fuck? You're already in the space. You're already in the ship. How the fuck does that explain his arm going in there? And then being perfectly, like, ripped off. Like, there's zero explanation for that. And then how would that arm be moving on its own? Like, the only thing that I can think is that his version in the other reality is still there in the ship somewhere.
Yeah.
And, like, it's his arm. Like, this is what remains of him.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the only thing that you can, like, imagine. And then there's a moment which it tries to start writing, so they give it a pen, which the moment they open up the little tank they have it in and hand it the pen, it goes, like, it's thing from
the Addams family, so it's like it knows what it's holding, even though it doesn't have any eyes.
You don't have eyes, you don't have ears, you don't have any of that, and then it just writes cut open Vlastov or whatever the guy
the guy who was full of
the
worms.
Russian guy,
the
yeah,
worm
the Russian
guy.
guy full of worms.
The Russian worm guy.
So they go over to him, they cut him open, and inside of him is the giant like core reactor thing.
No, it's a gyro which helps the spaceship find its way back to Earth.
Yeah,
it's basically like a compass.
Basically, like a big three-dimensional circular compass. They take that, and it was inside him the whole time.
Inside him, along with the worms. It's
Okay.
like, what else is in this guy?
Okay.
Like
the worms, I can buy him still walking around just fine, like feeling sick, feeling queasy, like, oh god, guys, I'm not quite right, like, oh, I'm getting weird feelings all of a sudden. I can buy that with the worms in there. Has a giant, like, mechanical, irradiated, like, orb
like,
this big
it's
inside
like-
of him is like, no, you're fucking dead.
it's like, wouldn't like his stomach be protruding? Like, wouldn't it look like he's pregnant or something?
If it was in his stomach, if it was in his chest, which is where they cut him open, it's like, no, dude, your heart would be destroyed by that. That made no fucking sense. And they're just like, oh, I guess it was inside him the whole time. It's like, nobody's got any fucking questions about how this is all working. All right, fine, whatever.
I think that because they're like, oh, we're in another parallel dimension, like, no rules apply here. That's basically their excuse for this bullshit.
Except that we see, Jesus, he took a dive.
It's okay, she's fine.
Except, like, it would be one thing if it was that. Except that they have there in the ship someone who was from this reality. And remember this reality, they could go to her at any time and go, is this how shit works on your planet? Except they never do, but they do look at like footage and recordings from their world. They look at all the stuff going on in the world. It's like, no, exact same rules. Physics are exactly the same over here. Arms don't come to life. Metal doesn't just eat your hand. Like, none of this. There is no fucking explanation for any of this. Like, it looks like somebody just had a bunch of ideas for crazy shit they want to do in space. But here's the thing. Every single one of these ideas on their own are still pretty fucking lame. Like, the arm coming to life on its own, you could do some interesting stuff with that. They don't. But I'll give you that one, you could do some stuff. The reactor thing just being in someone's body is like, what? Okay, no. Like, worms exploding from someone's like, yeah, we saw Alien. You're not Alien, man. You're not gonna outdo that. Yeah, this is just so weak. And it all leads up to, what's her face? The woman, Captain Marvel. Because, man, that was the one thing I gotta give this film. Nothing against Brie Larson. I'm sure Brie Larson is indeed a very good actress. And I'm sure she'll do a great job as Captain Marvel. But you had this tall, rough, authority-looking figure up there with short blonde hair in a spacesuit in space. I was just like, that's fucking Captain Marvel up there. It's like, this is totally who should be playing her, like, just on looks alone.
I was thinking like the live-action Calhoun for Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh yeah. They're very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can totally see that. Although I feel bad for Jane Lynch, because Jane Lynch is the live-action Calhoun from Wreck-It Ralph. That was perfect casting.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, so she eventually, like, what happens is that the protagonist who we've been following this whole time, she lost her kids a long time ago because she had, like, a power siphoner, because, like, everybody has to use only a certain amount of energy, but her kids want a nightlight on, so she, like, uses illegal power siphoner in order to be able to, like, power up their nightlights for them, and ended up catching on fire, and the kids died in fire, and she's never been able to get over that. She finds out oh, on this planet, I didn't come up here. I'm the person on the ground in communications with the shepherd. And, like, she starts watching video footage and is like, my kids are still alive. I gotta go down there. And, like, they talk to her and go, listen, I understand, but you still exist in this world. It's not like they're missing a mom. What's gonna happen when you go down there and now there's two of you? It's like,
hey, two moms! Awesome!
Twice the Christmas!
Wow!
But no.
That'd be a great sitcom.
But no. What she says is, I know me. I know the me of this world. She's going to try and do the same thing I did. I'm not going down there just to see them. I'm going down there because I have to save them. I have to make sure she doesn't do the same thing I do. It's like, you literally have someone on your ship who is from this universe and is very good friends with the you of this universe. Tell her what you fucking did and get her down to the earth so that she can tell her. Or just send her a fucking message. Like, that's another
Which
thing.
she ends up doing anyhow, so...
But here's the thing. They keep saying, can you get communications back up? No, communications aren't up. Very end of this film, when it's time for them to go back, beep, bop, boop, communications on. I need to send you this important message. It's like,
Deus Ex Machina.
did I miss something? Like, they might even have said something about that in here, because there were so many times in this which I was like, wait, why are they doing this? And he went, oh, it's because of this thing. I was like, I've been looking directly at the same screen as you have, and I'm missing huge chunks of this story. Like, you had to keep filling me in on stuff.
Yeah, it's like, there's a lot of, like, little things that, like, they explain for, like, a split second.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not paying attention, like, all the time, it's like, you realize, you suddenly like, hey, how did this happen? Why is this going on?
There's one very weird thing that happens in this film, and I had no idea what was happening. She was like, he just texted someone about this, and I was like, that text message was on screen for a quarter of a second. I had no time to read that. So yeah, it is a lot of just like, okay, we're doing this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. And the weird thing is, almost none of it feels like it goes together.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, I haven't even gotten to the reason why I really fucking hated this film for what it did to this franchise I absolutely love. This is just judging it purely as its own thing.
Yeah.
If it had no connection to Cloverfield at all, yeah, this is still just really fucking stupid. This is just a horribly thought out, poorly put together film. But when it comes to tying this into Cloverfield, the trailer for this thing said, see how it all ties together. Fuck you for that. This is an awful attempt to, like, explain all the Cloverfield stuff. And it makes it so that unless you come in here and say, yeah, that's in... It's gone. It's a Netflix original, and we're taking it off Netflix. We're just gonna send this straight to China, and it's gonna go around their market until we make the money back. It's fine. Which, yeah, there is a very famous Chinese actress in here. I think she's the same Chinese actress who was in Kong, because I remember there was a Chinese actress in Kong, and I was like, what? She's just here, and she doesn't even really speak English, and she's not really doing anything. And then I found out she was a big name Chinese actress, and I was like, oh, she's here to get in that market.
Yeah, it's like, notice how, like, none of the other, like, crew members, like, speak their native language.
She's the only one who actually speaks her language. Everyone else is speaking English, except that when they talk to her, they speak Chinese. Yeah, it was like, the moment that she popped up, I was like, I know exactly. You did this because this is straight to Netflix in America. This is straight to theaters in China. I know exactly what's going on here. Which I can't, do what you gotta do to get that money back, man. I ain't gonna, I'm not gonna hate on you for that, but, man, I hope that they can just take this off Netflix, just shuttle it around over in China until it makes the money back. Because there's tons of, like, Chinese ripoff versions of things that we have in America that never come over to America. They just go around there and it's like, all right, I guess they did that thing over there. That's fine, whatever. This feels like that. Like, because this, man, for anybody out there who really cared about, like, the mystery of Cloverfield, I didn't need the mystery of Cloverfield answered. I love the mystery of Cloverfield.
Yeah, that was like...
because it was a mystery.
Yeah, that's what, like, made the Cloverfield movies, both the first two, like, so interesting. It's like...
I was picking apart every single thing in both those films for every single, like, oh, what could this mean? What could that mean? What could blah, blah, blah. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane, there's so many things in like the first 10 minutes that much, like, okay, this thing connects to this thing, and that could mean this thing, and then we did a post-Geekout reaction for that, and so many people were responding in the comments like, you missed some stuff. There's tons of other things in there that you didn't even see. So yeah, that stuff was awesome. This comes in here and the very beginning of this is them up on the space station, and they're watching a news report, and there is some scientist guy who, I know the actor, I think he's the guy who plays Bullock on Gotham, but they had him in there, and he was like, they don't understand the problems with this, because you see, when you rip open a hole in reality, you can bring in monsters, all kinds of monsters.
No, he's basically saying, like, in order to obtain this much amount of energy, they have to, like, rip open end up ripping a hole in the dimension, and so he's going, I was like, this could create a paradox, this could bring in monsters and aliens from other dimensions.
They flat out go, those things from the first two movies, it could bring all that in here.
It's like, wow, thanks for explaining something that we didn't want to be explained in a very lame way possible.
And then after the ship goes to the other reality, and then cuts back to her husband on our Earth, and there are like explosions off in the distance, like, what could this possibly be? I gotta find out what this is. And he drives out to the hospital where he works, and there's like one screaming child out there, which the kid was screaming like she didn't even see him, like she was just, ah! And like even when he walks like into frame, and is like looking at her,
I think it's like, hey kid, just scream as much as you can and until we tell you to stop.
Yeah. But it's like, no, if you were screaming for help and then help arrived, you would stop, you would like at least like even if you were too afraid to get the words out, you would like
react.
You would react to it. That's the word before. You would at least have a reaction to that. But he goes over there and like the hospital is just this big smoldering crater and rubble in the ground. And then there's a big smoke cloud at the hospital, and then you just see the shadow of the Cloverfield monster there in the smoke cloud. But the way the smoke cloud is, you'd have to see the Cloverfield monster behind the smoke cloud as well. This doesn't look like the Cloverfield monster. It looks like someone just flashed like the Cloverfield monster symbol up onto the smoke cloud, like Commissioner Gordon had to summon out the giant monster to fight the Joker and just flash it onto the big clouds. Like, that does not, there's nothing there.
Kaiju Batman versus Kaiju Joker.
That's coming. That's gonna be a thing.
The next Pacific Rim movie, that's gonna be it.
You haven't heard of Batman Samurai yet, have you? Or Ninja, I can't remember which it is. I can't remember which one it is because I remember that everybody looked at it and went, he's not the thing in the title, he's the other thing. But okay, so yeah, he sees the Cloverfield monster, and then we don't see anything from that for like half an hour. Like every time it cuts back to the husband, I was like, fuck man, I forgot you were in this movie. Like it keeps forgetting about him, and every time it comes back to him, like he comes back and now he's got the kid in the car. He's like, don't worry, we're gonna find your parents. And then like he's texting someone and goes, hey, can I use your bunker real quick? Next shot, he's in John Goodman's bunker from
10 Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Is it 10 or 20? Or?
I want to say 21. No, wait, 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Not 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I just got done talking about 21 Jump Street not long ago, so that's why it's on my mind. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Yeah, so he's in the bunker from that. And it was like, I'm sorry, are you trying to say he's friends with John Goodman in his reality? Is this our reality? It can't be our reality from the first couple films because this is years and years in the future. But so you're trying to tell me that he is friends with the John Goodman of his universe, but the John Goodman of his universe is way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere. Like, he's on a farm, like, miles and miles from anywhere. Mm-hmm. This was really just like a weak ass attempt at like a callback fan service.
Yeah.
Like anything that you want, whatever you want to call it, it was weak.
It's like, hey, it's that monster from the first movie. Hey, it's that bunker from the other movie. Haha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, eh?
Yeah, and this all leads up to, like, at the end of this, the woman from the alternate reality, like, they're going to take the shepherd back to their reality, and she's like, I can't let you do that because my plan is at war. We need this energy. If your thing can actually make it work, then I'm sorry, but you gotta stay here. And it's like, All right, she's not even really that evil. Like, she's got a good point. I mean,
but she acts evil, and it's so weird. It's like
she is acting evil non-stop the second that they get her out of the med bay.
Yeah, it's like, all the shit is happening. Now it's like,
yeah,
like constant stink eye and silence.
There's a moment when the German guy goes, "I want you to know, the me that betrayed you was the me from your universe. That's not me." And then she doesn't say anything. She just goes. It's like, we have half a fucking hour left in this movie.
It's like, what happened to all your emotions? Like, once you...
She was pretty damn nice when she was in medbay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, she's all healed up. Instant bitch mode activate.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's... I think she's a pretty decent actress, but yeah, they were just telling her, like, evil, eviler, be more evil, which, again, that's what makes it feel like this was not even made for an American audience. Mm-hmm. Like, it was made for the Chinese market, because it was like, I would be very interested in finding out when Cloverfield came to China. Like, if it just hit there, like, last year, I would be very interested in seeing if, like, they were in high demand, like, oh, we need, like, our own Cloverfield. We need you to bring this on back. We want to see the Cloverfield monster again. Like, well, we don't really do that. It's kind of an anthology thing. No, bring us back to the Cloverfield monster. Like, well, we can do something like that. We'll get the star in there, and we won't really have, like, plots that really make any sense. Also, because it's just a bunch of words in English being said, and your audience isn't really going to understand, we have to have everyone be really super obvious in whatever they're doing. Like, they can't give her dialogue that shows that, oh, she's got a secret evil plan. Mm-hmm. They have to make it so clear on her face at all times that she's going to turn evil on them. Because it's like, yeah, this was not made for people who understand English.
And that's sad, because, like, what was so, like, great about, like, especially 10 Cloverfield Lane is, like, the subtlety, that's the word.
Yes, just all the little moments in which you're like, what the fuck is he gonna do to them?
Yeah,
like, it was those moments in which you were just sitting there like, I don't know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I guess that really doesn't really translate well in other languages.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think that, like, you don't see, spoilers for 10 Cloverfield Lane, you don't see the aliens from the end of that film in here. You only see the Cloverfield monster. Because 10 Cloverfield Lane, you know, there's nothing really big and exploding until the very end of that film.
Yeah.
It's all stuff before that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, like, you know, just very subtle human drama and, like, tension. Like, it's a Hitchcock film for 95% of that movie. 10 Cloverfield Lane, on the other hand, regular Cloverfield, completely different. So I feel like they just put in there the bunker just to go, yeah, see, it all ties together. It's like, not really.
No.
And then, so they just have the Cloverfield thing in there. And then at the end of this, like, they get on their ship, they're able to send their ship back. They're like, oh, the ship, it's working now. We have unlimited energy. We can get back to Earth. And they get on their pod, and they're taking the escape pod down to Earth. And then, like, they contact the husband, and it's like... They contact the husband, and they're going, yeah, he's on the way back, and she's on the way back. And he goes, what? You're sending her back? With those things here? Tell them to stay up there. Tell her to turn around. Tell her to go back. And I was like, okay, so they're going to crash land down, and then they're going to hear the Cloverfield monsters, like, roar, and then they might see, like, a big shadow coming up in the background. You see the pod coming down, wave of clouds.
No, it didn't. I don't think
it did.
It did.
I was watching it. It went in his mouth.
I thought it was, like, in the background while, like, the monster was in the foreground.
I saw it go in his mouth.
In the mouth. This time you were paying attention, so.
So it was like, okay, at the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane, they throw in aliens in there, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's which had been set up.
Yes.
It had been set up very darn well. And I'll admit, I think it went on for way too long. Like, I thought it was going to be one of those great things in which, like, she gets out, she's free, she's like, oh my god, I'm safe. There's something off in the distance. Hey. What? Alien ship credits. Mm-hmm. But no, it goes on, there's an action sequence, she fights off the alien, she goes on to another alien, fights that one. But it still ends with this, what happens next kind of thing.
Yeah.
What becomes of our hero? Because it shows her, like, actually... going, and like she hears on the radio like, we need anyone who can help, anyone who can do this, anyone at all, anyone with these skills. And it's kind of like skills that she kind of learned being trapped there in the bunker with John Goodman. So it is kind of like tying all back in. And she's like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna be a hero now. And she goes off there and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen to her now? So even if you didn't like the alien stuff, there's still like this nice what comes next mystery to it that you can like, debate from then on out. This one just flat out, and that's how, and it's like, it's not even like a big like shadowy like, oh, is that no,
it is like,
you get a better shot of it in this film than you got in Cloverfield.
Honestly, it feels like a skip from the Muppet Show.
This feels like if like fucking not even Saturday Night Live, like if Mad TV made like a Cloverfield parody or some shit. Like the Muppets work because it's a big like puppet coming out. But like, oh my god, it's just fucking insulting, and now it just makes me go, so this is what they were?
Yes.
And like, don't get me wrong, if you had waited, like, until, like, I love the idea of turning this whole Cloverfield thing into an anthology. Just big, creepy Twilight Zone mysteries, one after the next. If you had saved this until like the 10th installment, like, here's something that ties everything. We see everything coming together. Even if it absolutely sucked, you would have way more ground to cover. Mm-hmm. Way more stuff to reference. Which, by the way, we should point out, when he's yelling in there, don't let her come, not with those things here, how could you do that? I was like, I never once got that sense of urgency from you before this.
No.
Like, when he looks up at the big cloud thing, he's just like, oh, hey, screaming child. Oh, hey, screaming child. Then he's in the car. Don't worry. We're going to be all right. And then he's in the bunker. Everything's going to be okay. We found your parents, Molly. Things are going to be fine. No, there's monsters here. Don't you know? It's like, dude, neither you nor this mystery child you just introduced who has like no character arc or no purpose in here.
Just randomly, there's like, just for him to be the hero because like, he needs something to do.
It's like, it feels like one thing if they had tried to tie it into being like, oh, okay, well, he lost his children. Now he has to save this child. It's like, okay, but it's like, all he does is he's just like, well, come on, get in the car. We'll try and find your parents. We'll just chill in this bunker. Hey, they found your parents. Wow, real character arc tying back into him losing children. Yeah, wow. Everybody applaud the movie, everybody.
I feel like the only reason why they even like cut back to Earth is to like pathetically tie it in with the other
Hey guys, it's Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is literally, like, this film would have been so much better without that. Like, even if it had just cut, like, after, like, the explosions or something, and then, like, he hears, like, a roar or something, and then, like, we never saw it again, and they were like, no, not with those things here. Like, something like that. It's like, okay, well, that still would have been better than what we got. It wouldn't have been really good. I almost said great, but it's like, whoa, far from great. It wouldn't even be good. But it would have been better than what we got. Yeah. So if this had been, like, the 10th movie, like, I'm thinking about Dark Tower. Dark Tower last year was a really bad film. But the Dark Tower franchise is supposed to, like, blend everything from the Stephen King universes together into one thing. So even though that film sucked, as a Stephen King fan, there's still, like, some enjoyment just from going, oh, it's that thing, and that thing. I know this thing. Okay, cool, it's this thing. Oh, I see how all this works. Okay, I understand now. This is like Dark Tower if Stephen King wrote 2 books. Mm-hmm. And then they did the most half-ass explanation for how to get it all together. Because at the end of it, it's not like, oh my goodness, all this stuff from all the other Cloverfields are combining together. It's like, oh, hey, that Cloverfield monster that just happens to be here. And it's one of those things where it's like, now it does actually make me think back to the other films, and it's like, that was what the fucking monster was? Like,
yes.
If we had like 10 films of like Cloverfield things that were completely separate, completely unrelated, it'd be way easier for me to look at them as their own separate things. But after only 2 previous installments, when you come in here with the 3rd and go, yeah, guess what? This is how it all works out. It does feel more like canon. Like, it feels way harder for me to not pay attention to that. And I know that, like, I would love to come in here and be like, well, yeah, you can still enjoy the original one. And you can, But this now kind of prevents you from enjoying any future ones? Like,
it's like it doesn't start a franchise, it ends it because
really
it
does.
explains the mystery behind it. It's like, what's that monster look like? Here it is, hey!
and the thing is, because it's an anthology series, you don't have to explain the mystery.
No.
That's the brilliant thing about an anthology series. It can be some big, crazy, wild thing. Like, look at the Twilight Zone. You don't need to know why everyone on Earth turned ugly and now beautiful people are considered the ugly ones. It's just a cool, creepy story. You don't need to know why this kid has psychic powers and can wish people into the cornfield. It's just a cool, creepy story. Done. Over with. But because this now comes in at the third installment of this thing and goes, here's the explanation for everything. It comes from pocket universes caused by this ship traveling between dimensions trying to get infinite energy. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you for all this shit. Like, man, if they came in here and like said like, it'd kind of be like if Stranger Things said like the upside down world was connected into all of this. Yeah, you can still enjoy Stranger Things, but you would still constantly stop and think while watching Stranger Things, wait, isn't this like where the fucking like isn't this where like the Cloverfield monster came from as well? Like, that's really weird. Wait, wasn't there a thing about a spaceship up there? Like, you were telling me that? Okay, well, I'm still gonna watch this and enjoy it, but in the back of my mind, I'm gonna be thinking, the Upside Down world and the Gorgons were all caused by spaceships. That's weird. But if we had gotten up to like movie 10, it would be like, dude, I've been enjoying this for way too long and I've had way too many good installments. Like, I can easily ignore this one and pretend like it doesn't affect any of these things. But at the third installment, it's like, no, this really feels like it's still part of the same course. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, like, if we had waited until, like, the 10th installment, it'd be like, okay, well, we can't do any more of these because that sucks so bad and it sucked all the fun out of this franchise and explained the mystery. But we got 9 other movies. That's fantastic. There is so much more you could have done with this franchise, and this just ended it. I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to come back from this and do like anything that makes me go, oh, okay, well now I don't have to think about the fact that all this weird shit was caused by a spaceship going between dimensions.
It's like, I feel like they're gonna like end up just doing like a series where like, oh, it's people in space fighting off aliens that coming through this portal, and it's just a bunch of bullshit. There's with no mystery behind it.
I don't know.
And I don't know either.
God damn it. This is really insulting to what made the first couple ones really good. It takes the fun out of the idea of future installments of this.
Yeah.
Like, man, for you to have 2 installments that were so good and to have a third one that, even if you're not like me and you're able to go, I don't need to, like, I can put it out of my head that, like, oh, these monsters come from parallel world that is caused by a rift in reality or something. Like, even if you're able to completely put that out of your head, this one is still so bad, you're like, oh shit, do I want to gamble on a 4th one? Because the first 2, really good, 3rd one, so fucking bad. I don't know, 2 out of 3, those aren't the best odds.
I don't know, like maybe if there was like a theater release, you'd think it would be better, or no?
Oh, I was about to say, it's like, I thought what you were asking was, would I like this more if I had watched it in the theater?
No,
like,
no, I meant if like the next
I'd be throwing shit at the screen if that was the case.
I wasted my money on this shit.
I would pull my back out trying to rip the chair out of the seat.
No, I meant like if they made
would they give a shit more, basically?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there would definitely be some stuff like the acting. The acting's not bad here.
No, it's just like over the top,
yeah,
or like
a little bit, it is
exaggerated.
Yeah.
At some points, and then under exaggerated. Like.
But I feel like here's the thing. It probably would have been better, simply because I feel like this being on Netflix, it had no. Meddling from the studios. Like, I feel like, I mean, granted, you look at Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane, it doesn't feel like those were meddled with by the studios. It feels, I mean, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a movie that takes place in, like, one tiny bunker with a cast of 3 people. That's not something that studios typically are okay with. Mm-hmm. But I feel like this one, like, I feel like if they had turned this into a studio, the studio would have looked at it and been like, no. Yeah, this is crazy. But then again, maybe I'm wrong, because, as I said, this feels like it was made for the Chinese market.
Like maybe the studios would have like put more explosions and monsters in it.
No, I mean, I feel like this feels like maybe it did get too much tampering. Maybe the first two didn't get tampering, and maybe this one got a ton of tampering because they're like, dumb this down for the Chinese audience. They don't speak English. They need to just have a big old explosion in here. Have an arm just crawling around. Well, this guy's arm coming off in Come Life makes no sense. It's like, yeah, but they wouldn't, it's going to be in a different language anyway, so if you gave us an explanation, they wouldn't understand. This really is matching up with the idea of it just being made specifically for the Chinese market, because it's like, I'm not coming in here and trying to like insult the intelligence of the Chinese market. I'm just saying, when you make a film specifically for an audience that does not speak the language that the film is coming out in, it does explain why the movie never stops at any point to go, this is the reason this is happening. This is why that would happen. Well, we need to actually discuss how this interacts with this. Oh my goodness, that's why all the worms are suddenly here. Like, it does explain why nothing is explained. That actually makes a lot of sense. But then it raises the question, well, then why did you kill off the Chinese actress like 2/3 of the way through the film? But I will say, she gets the best damn death in this entire film.
Yeah.
She gets a freaking amazing death. She is in a ventilation chamber and it starts like flooding with water and she's like drowning in there. She's trying to get out, but the water keeps building up and building up, and it's like the ventilation thing, it's right next to the door to go outside, and it keeps bulging and bulging. I was like, okay, any moment now, that's gonna burst open. She's gonna go flying out in space. It burst open and the water goes
instantly
freezes, and she's
frozen,
flash frozen, just instantly. Like the water like goes like that far out of the door before it completely freezes. I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's cold in space.
I forgot it's absolute zero in space.
Yes.
Yeah, like things freeze instantly. All right, that was pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give you that one. I'll give you that one movie. That's actually not bad. Of course, maybe that explains why she got the coolest death out of the entire film.
Coolest death.
Yeah, but this really was just a big old waste of everything that this franchise had going for. Like, all the potential in this franchise, this really feels like it just stepped on that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it sucks. And I'll still enjoy the first two, but it's gonna be hard for me to not have that thought in the back of my head. Oh yeah, so in some other reality, a spaceship traveled in between realities, and now that has ripped a hole in all of time and space, and now that's why monsters are just popping up in other stories.
So,
Alright,
like,
fine.
So, like, one thing is, like, that bothers me is, like, the Cloverfield paradox takes place in the future, right?
The way that I look at it...
But it's supposed to be a prequel to the other movies?
The way that I look at it is that what happens in this dimension is not the same dimension as the other two films. However, it basically rips, like, the whole multiverse is connected.
Oh, so it's like a domino effect?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. It's like, all these creatures, like, from between realities, like, the tears have opened and now they're there. That's the way that I look at it. Or, basically what happens in the other films is the alternate reality version of this, because in the original Cloverfield, if you pause on all the secret government stuff that flashes up there, which I have done multiple times, I fucking love that film. Yeah, there's all kinds of mentions of, oh, this is part of the Cloverfield project, which they refer to the spaceship as the Cloverfield project. It's like, so in other words, they were doing the exact same shit in the reality of the first one, and that's what caused it.
Well,
okay.
I figure, like, if the paradox was like the prequel, then Cloverfield would just be like the name of like the company that's trying to like take down all these monsters and aliens.
Oh, fuck. All right.
But I don't know. That's just me. If you enjoy your theory better than mine, then go ahead.
I don't enjoy any of them. I don't want this to be a thing. I want my mystery back. Fucking shit. You know what the weird thing is, though? I will say this. I keep saying that this is basically meant to be like the movie version of the Twilight Zone. Except that the Twilight Zone never stopped to explain what was weird about the Twilight Zone. You had Rod Serling pop up there and just go, you're now entering a dimension between space and time. And that was it. Bam, done. Alternate dimension, we got it. He never popped in and went, oh, by the way, that plane that got lost in all of time, it ended up becoming the same plane that had the gremlin on the wing. Isn't that weird? And that gremlin came from all that time traveling that they did. Now you know. It's like, fuck you, Rod Serling, in my imagination. The actual Rod Serling is great. The one in my head is an asshole. Yeah, but I kept saying this feels like it's supposed to be like, you know, the Twilight Zone of movies, which I think is an amazing idea. I love that idea. I love the Twilight Zone. You want to make like a series of anthology films where every single one of them is just something different, creepy, weird shit, but it's all tied together by the name Cloverfield. Amazing. Love it. If you took this film, though, and you shortened this hour and 40-minute runtime down to 22 minutes, making it half an hour with commercials, I actually think there's something pretty damn creepy here. I think there's something pretty darn good. You don't flash back to Earth after she pops back up there. You start with him on the ship, and she's just already talking about how she lost her family. They power up the generator, and at the first commercial break, they're like, "Where's the Earth? We can't find the Earth anymore. It was just here. What happened?" And then in the next third of the thing, it's them discovering all the weird stuff. It's, okay, this guy is now going crazy. He's got the worms inside of him. There's a woman trapped in the wall. You forget the whole stuff about the guy with his arm thing. That's not important. There's zero explanation for that shit. And then like at the last after the second commercial break, the last little bit of the thing, it's, okay, we now think we figured out a way back home, but oh my goodness, my family's still here. What should I do about my family? And then the woman turns crazy and she's like trying to take them all out, and then she ends up becoming the person who goes back to her reality. She's safe, she gets back home, and then she lands and she discovers, oh no, it's not my reality, there are monsters here or something. It's like, bam, solid half-hour long episode of The Twilight Zone. But fuck, man, they stretch this out and add in so much dumb shit. Like, literally, I feel if you take all the good stuff from this film and all the stuff that actually makes sense in this movie, it's probably about 22 minutes worth of entertainment. Boy, I can't wait to go and see 50 Shades Freed tomorrow. I'll make this a real palate cleanser. Man, Black Panther in 2 weeks is going to feel so good.
Yeah.
God damn. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.